Hey, Anastasia, so good to have you on our CEO mini podcast series. Welcome.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure. So we've only met once, and so I thought a good place to start is if you could share something random, a random fact about yourself, something that I wouldn't find on your LinkedIn profile. So I've stalked your LinkedIn profile, know everything about LinkedIn. Tell me what's
Yep.
not on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, I've got almost a second life. I teach aerobics in my
Oh,
spare time. So yeah, by day we run the consultancy business, and then on an evening I go away, put on some lycra, and teach aerobics to keep myself fit and healthy.
awesome. How long have you been doing that for?
Nearly 25 years, so a long time. Yeah, I've taught everything: ballet, tap, jazz, aerobics. Yeah, you name it.
There you go. They say, healthy body, healthy mind. That
Yeah,
probably helps you with retail doctor as well.
yeah, yeah. Great stress reliever on an evening.
Love it. So tell us more about Retail Doctor Group. How did your career journey take you to this place?
Yes, the Retail Doctor Group. I've been with the Retail Doctor Group nearly 9 years now, from when I first moved to Australia. And we're a consultancy company. The business has been around 18 years. We specialize in insights, so consumer insights, business insights, market insights. We've got our proprietary methodology in these spaces. And then we also do a lot of retail operations and retail training. So I came over here with a background I've got a master's in mathematics. And I'm a general, yeah, an organizer. So I like to organize things and people, and came into Retail Doctor Group as a sort of a project manager, ops manager. And then just worked my way up, specialized with my master's in mathematics in consumer behavior and data understanding. So I'm very data focused was kind of my background. So yeah, I went from being a mathematician, sort of a physicist, through to now being all this data consumer side.
Wow. Gosh, you're full of surprises. A mathematician, aerobics instructor, a consumer insight specialist. That's amazing. But consumer insights, I feel like in the last decade has definitely taken a huge, giant leap forward. And a lot of businesses are now paying a lot more attention to it because it helps you make a lot of data-driven decisions and strategic moves for your company. What are the biggest trends you've seen?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting one. So yeah, in the space that we play in, that retail focus, yeah, consumer understanding is the number one thing that all retailers say they're prioritizing this year. As if we haven't been looking at that for, like as you said, the last sort of 10 years. But I think one of the things that we're seeing has kind of been the trend is we've almost got too much data now. We almost have too much knowledge and not really understanding how to actually action it. And I think one of the trends that we're really seeing is this humanization of your customers. They're not numbers and data, they're actually people. And the smart businesses and brands are actually going, wait a minute, we've got all this data, but these are people. How do we understand them as humans? How do we actually talk to them as humans? And definitely it's one of the things that people are now going, well, how do we actually get the information to understand them more on a personal level, rather than just their buying habits or point of sale data, all of this, factual things. Let's understand them as an individual.
Yeah. And so, what are some practical tips on how businesses can manage all that big data and humanize it?
So yeah, there's really interesting sort of ways that people can look at it. And I'm a bit of a favor of go back to the basics. We make it a bit too complicated sometimes. Talk to people, talk to your customers, have the conversations. As a business, you develop your strategy, but it shouldn't be the strategy based on what the executives think. It should be the strategy based on the people that are going to buy it. So let's ask them the questions. Let's use them as our sounding boards, and it can be pretty straightforward as to let's talk to them, let's hold focus groups, let's hold, conduct research. Backing it up with the data. We've got fantastic data now, and the data is always there as the backup. But I think having those conversations with our customers, can really help us understand them a bit more, understand their why. We always talk about what is your why? Why do they do that? Not just what are they doing, but why are they doing it?
I think that's so important. When you understand the why, everything else kind of falls in place.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of industry, as the name suggests, do you only work with retail customers, or has your, the kind of businesses you work with broadened over the years?
Yeah, we are quite broad. We kind of use the term retail being anyone that sells something to somebody else.
Okay.
So realistically, anyone that has a product to sell, whether it's a service or a tangible product, it's a retailer. They're selling something. So we do work through with service businesses. Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting journey. It's a wide range of clients.
What's the story? I always like to know the story behind the name. So, Retail Doctor Group. What do you know what the story is behind that name?
I do. So Retail Doctor Group was set up 18 years ago by our CEO and founder, Brian Walker. And he was retailer through and through, always been on the shop floor, ran retail businesses. So had a lot of knowledge around retail operations. And he first set up the business as Retail Doctor, and Brian was the retail doctor. So he would go into a retailer and help them improve like a doctor would a person. So he would be the
I love
doctor
that.
that would, yeah, so he would come in and
Having
it even,
prescription.
yeah. And to this day, it's still stuck. Our mission is to help retailers be the best they can be. So, like a doctor would help you be as healthy as possible. That's our role in retail.
Got it. Awesome. And what kind of role have partnerships and collaboration played in the growth of Retail Doctor, if any?
Yeah, I think partnerships and collaborations are vitally important for us, as there probably are a lot of businesses, because at the end of the day, people are buying people,
Mm.
and we are there. People trust us, they rely on us because we are the experts in our field. And we don't try to be all things for all people. So having strong partnerships where we can rely on other experts, I think, is really key. We need to be able to have this uh, group of experts that we can call on when we need to. And vice versa. We wouldn't expect one of our partners to say, oh, we can do everything consumer insights. That's our speciality. So I think knowing what you're strong at and being able to have these relationships and collaborations to build where you can, I think is so important.
I love that because I feel totally resonate with the whole people buying from people. And even what you said earlier about, humanizing the data and having so much data available. I feel like a lot of similarities even for us at Backbone. So I think about it, we are so well connected
Yep.
digitally in all other aspects of our life. But sadly, when it comes to doing business and working business to business, we're not, right?
Gosh.
And there's too many options to the point that none of the options are effective. And that's kind of what we're trying to do as well, is humanizing that networking and making it people to people
Yeah.
as much as we can, because ultimately it's those relationships and partnerships that can get us through.
It is. It's all about, having that understanding of other people and having those partnerships because you never know how you're going to relate, how it's going to work with other people. So I think, yeah, vitally important.
Awesome. And so tell us you've only been on Backbone very recently. What have been sort of your early insights and experiences so far?
Yeah, so just I suppose only very briefly touched on it, very new to the platform. I think the few things is as an executive, I never have enough time in the day. So
So true.
the perennial problem. And I think what I've really liked is just it helps me save time. It's quick and it's easy. That's probably my biggest insight. The number one problem I always have is oh, my day's gone. I don't know what I've done. I've had no time. I've run out of time. And I think my initial sort of seeing Backbone facilitates the ability to have networks, relationships, but without it taking up so much of my time. So for
I'm
me,
so I'm
it's a
so glad
time.
you picked up on that, because
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're trying to do. We want you to spend minutes, not hours. We don't want to be yet another social network that drains your time.
change of
The
time.
idea
Yeah.
is that, we're all time poor as execs, and we all value efficiencies. I think the world
Yeah.
has changed, and
Yeah.
we do like to meet socially. When we're working, we want to be quick and efficient with our time, and that's kind of what we're trying to facilitate as well. So I'm really happy you've picked up on that. But what are some of the other challenges you feel as an exec you come across quite often?
In regard to business or
Just
networking?
about business.
Yeah, I think well, I think the business market now is very busy. That's probably the other thing. There's a lot of noise.
Mm,
And one of the challenges that I find is being able to cut through the noise to, whether we talk about partnerships, whether we talk about consumers, whether you look at who's your target, whatever it is, being able to cut through the noise to really find the gems, the insights, what's worth your time. Because again, I come back to this time.
yeah.
I talk a lot about time being a currency. If I can cut through the noise to find the gems, what's worth spending my time on. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge that I find at the moment. Everyone's got a product, everyone's got a service, there's so many businesses out there, but the same from the customers, there's so many variations of what customers need from you now. And I think as a business owner, one of the big challenges is knowing who you don't want to sell to, who
Yes.
you don't want to work with, because that can be just as damaging to you as a business working with the wrong people. So I think that's kind of probably one of the biggest challenges is, yeah, being able to wade through that noise and effort to really find the key people, key relationships, key customers.
Yeah. No, I remember you saying that at the seminar I attended, time is your biggest currency. And I love that. We used to have a term back in the day called qualify out, because if you're wasting your time with the wrong people, it's time that could be spent somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes complete sense. Now you've also transitioned. We talked about you going from a mathematician, having um, you know aerobics instructor by night, but tell us more about your personal career journey. So were you always in the consumer insight space before you moved to Australia, or has that change come about by accident, by design? Tell us
Yeah, so it's quite an extreme story, actually, my career path. So I graduated with a Master's in Mathematics,
more.
and I actually then went to become a nuclear physicist.
No
So
way.
I worked as a nuclear
I feel like you're
physicist.
having me on now.
No, I know, this
Keep
isn't it? It
adding
just
more
makes
and
it
more
sound like.
impressive things to your resume.
So I used to work in nuclear research, doing sort of uh, mathematical analysis, basically. So like I said, I've always been a data-driven person, and I can't say data, I can only say data because I'm British, but I've always been data-driven. And so yes, I worked as a nuclear physicist for many years, and then I realized that whilst I enjoy data, that was a bit too much data.
Yeah.
So I moved into project management for nuclear physicists. So I would manage the teams that I used to be part of. And that kind of led me down the journey of, management projects, etc. So then when I moved to Australia, so became a qualified project manager. So got my project management qualifications. Because when I came to Australia, there's obviously no nuclear here, so it was quite a bit of a change. So I went into pure project management, and actually joined Retail Dr. Group first and foremost as a sort of a consultant project manager, business organizer, like managing all of the client projects.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think I was probably in the business probably pretty quickly, 6 months, 12 months, when I discovered that the consumer insight side of the business aligned very well with what I enjoy doing, which is mathematics and data.
Mm.
And then from there became effectively a specialist in consumer behavior. So managing the trends in probably the last 7 years, it's been my speciality. So really focusing on, looking at the trends that's out there, looking at the data, understanding the consumers, and then yeah, just kind of every year get a bit deeper into this consumer understanding.
Fascinating. Just goes to show that you can change at any time, and career journeys don't actually have to be linear. They can be,
Yeah.
you go sideways and then go up, and all over. Anything you do differently looking back?
Oh, that's a great question. What would I do differently? Um, I think the definitely thing is, which is what I say to all the sort of the interns and the young team members I get on, is I think I probably specialized too quickly.
Okay.
in nuclear physics. I think being a bit broader and more of a generalist to begin with actually helps because you kind of learn a lot more about the world, about how business operates. So I think if I'd have started off a bit broader in my project management, maybe rather than the strong nuclear, probably would have had a lot more broader experience to begin with, and then take the specialization route. So yeah, it's what I always say to the interns. Don't worry, don't pick, you don't have to pick a life career immediately.
Yeah.
Um, be broad, try everything out, figure out what works for you, and then specialize. Because if you jump in too quickly, yeah, you can end up being stuck. I was quite lucky that I've been able to move, almost had two career changes. So yeah.
No, that's actually really, really good advice, and I think really valid if you can go broad, and it doesn't necessarily have to be at the start of your career, but at some point in your career, if you can broaden your experience, it just always helps, especially as you go into more senior roles, and as a chief operating officer, you've probably got to oversee a whole range of different things, so that kind of helps as well, having that
Yeah.
broad perspective, and it helps you wear many hats, I'm guessing.
Does, yeah, and it helps you be sympathetic to other people, businesses, etc. Because if you've been in their shoes or understand their roles, what they're going through, yeah, you have a different conversation.
Awesome. Well, look, been great chatting. Just as a parting question, is there anything you'd like, or any piece of advice apart from that you'd like to, or anything you'd like to share about Retail Doctor Group to the businesses out there who don't necessarily know, or who may have had the misconception like I did, the Retail Doctor Group is all about, retail customers. What's a great way for them to get in touch with you, or just find out more about how you can help their business?
Yeah, so Retail Doctor Group, I think the key thing is it's our mission is to help business be better, whether it's through understanding your metrics, whether it's through improving your training, whether it's through developing a strategy and understanding your customer. Our goal is to help you grow, basically. So anyone that's looking to we want to grow, but we don't know how, or we know we've got gaps in our current operations. We know we're not operating at best practice.
Yeah,
Yeah, give us a call.
awesome. Well, really been a pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.